The world is a book. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page, said by Saint Augustine. Good morning to one and all present here. The tourist experiences worldwide enhance social, cultural, environmental, and economic value to cater comprehensive growth to global society by fostering sustainable development. It creates a forum for stakeholders to embrace a resilient strategy with an objective to ensure resurgence and reclaim the tourism resources, which has been degrading due to global challenges like global warming, COVID-19 pandemic, and various environmental issues. On this occasion of World Tourism Day 2021, the United Nations World Tourism Organization has declared the theme Tourism for Inclusive Growth, which carries a huge accountability for all global citizens to seek strategic measures to ensure global sustainable development. The Department of Tourism and Travel Management, Jyoti Niwas College Autonomous, facilitates a virtual national forum to address these challenges, considering the theme Tourism for Inclusive Growth, Resilience, Resurgence, and Reclaim. The virtual forum is equipped with powerhouse of knowledge to create awareness among the young minds. We are delighted to have the gracious presence of a dynamic leader par excellence and a great visionary, Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, our beloved principal. On behalf of the Department of Tourism and Travel Management, Jyoti Niwas College Autonomous, I welcome you, sister.
Thank you, Manisha. Thank you.
We are elated to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Vinod Zushi, former Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, on behalf of Principal, College Management and Department of Tourism and Travel Management, Jyoti Niwas College Autonomous. I welcome you, sir. I also welcome our resource speaker, Mr. Ajay Prakash, President of Travel Agents Federation of India, on behalf of Principal, College Management and Department of Tourism and Travel Management, Jyoti Niwas College Autonomous. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I would like to welcome all the registered participants from all over the country to this August event. Hope you all will have enriching experience. Now, I request our principal, Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, my dear friends. I'm very happy to be with you all this afternoon. I should say I'm blessed to be with you with the best of best audience. As I heard and I have seen the speakers for the day, the eminent speakers, and I'm sure this afternoon is going to give us a great learning experience with their years of experience in travel and tourism. As Manisha started with a quote, "The world is a book," I slightly change it and say, "The world is a book, and those who travel know the pages." They become an interesting storyteller, traveling all the days of their lives. And each one of us, we bring in our brilliance. We spark the colorful celebration of World Tourism Day with our enthusiasm. As rightly said, this year the theme of World Tourism Day is Tourism for Inclusive Growth. And the color blue is a color of World Tourism Day. The color blue stands for me as hope We are people of hope and optimism despite the pandemic. We are in a spirit of celebration to raise awareness among ourselves and uphold the importance of tourism in individual life and life of the society. We celebrate today the revenue tourism brings to our economy. We celebrate today thousands of jobs created by tourism. We celebrate today how tourism develops the infrastructure of a country and creates many opportunities for local citizens as well. When I think of travel and tourism, I remember win is a philosophy of our travel and tourism celebration because this industry enables one to really have a happy, lovely, memorable travel experience. Seeing new places, visiting new people, encountering new culture, and in turn, it brings in revenue. So for me, a sector where this philosophy of win is 100% experienced by everyone. So let us enjoy being together on the virtual platform celebrating the World Tourism Day. For life is good when we are happy. Life is best when other people are happy because of us. Be an inspiration as a student of tourism and provide the world with your new insights, innovate, and create a sustainable tourism. For you have the duty to contribute to sustainable development as a student of tourism. Any excuse is a good excuse to set off along a new path. Visit places. I believe that we must visit one new place every year. It brings new views and opens us to new vistas of life and energy. We become an eternal creator. All of us heard the plane. So I would say travel well today. Enjoy the journey. It is better to travel well than to arrive. Stop, take a deep breath, and see the beauty around in we live. This is a beautiful earth. Sustain it, keep it clean and fresh. Thank you for the opportunity and wish each one of you all the very best as we let our light shine and celebrate the World Tourism Day. Thank you and God bless us.
I would like to make a mention that our one of the resource speaker has arrived. I welcome our resource speaker, learned Professor Dr. Deepak Raj Gupta from the University of Jammu. On behalf of Principal, College Management, Department of Tourism and Travel Management, Jyoti Nivas College Autonomous, I welcome you, sir. Our keynote speaker, our keynote speaker, Mr. Vinod Zushi, a former Indian administrative officer from 1982 batch of Rajasthan cadre with a span of 35 years of working experience for central government and state government of Rajasthan. Sir was designated as a secretary under Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, and holds vast experience and expertise in the field of tourism, public policy and administration, election and democratic governance. Sir has served numerous reputed designation under the central government of India, to name some: a secretary under Ministry of Culture, Government of India, headed National Tourism Advisory Council India as vice chairman, was also appointed as chairman PATA Chapter India, served as a member of PATA, vice chairman Board of Governors, Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management under the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Mr. Vinod held multiple positions in the field of tourism development for the state of Rajasthan, such as Commissioner of Tourism, Government of Rajasthan, Chairman and Managing Director, Rajasthan Tourism Development Corporation, and Chief Managing Director, Rajasthan State Hotel Corporation. Presently, Sir is designated as Consultant Advisory and Honorary Member of New Tourism Foundation as President, Member of Responsible Tourism Society of India, Member in Foundation for Aviation and Sustainable Tourism, and Advisory of FICCI Medical Value Travel Committee. Now, I call upon Mr. Vinod to deliver the keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manisha. Chief Patron and Principal Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, Professor Deepak Raj Gupta, Mr. Ajay Prakash, members of Organizing Committee, student coordinators, faculty members, dear students, listeners and viewers of this virtual conference, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, on the World Tourism Day today, I convey my greetings and good wishes to the management, faculty, and students of Jyoti Nivas College, Bangalore, and to the entire tourism fraternity of India. I'm delighted to be a part of this conference on the World Tourism Day today, and I'm thankful to the Department of Tourism and Travel Management of the college for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on a very significant subject relevant to the entire tourism world. Friends, as we are all aware, the World Tourism Day, celebrated each year on 27th September, is the global observance day to create awareness of social, cultural, political, and economic importance of tourism, and to sensitize everyone about the potential that the sector has to attain the sustainable development goals. Friends, during the last 19 months, travel and tourism has passed through the worst time ever. The agony of the calamity was that not only the consumption and demand side of tourism got the unprecedented shock, even the supply and the service providers got a big setback. However, despite this massive onslaught on the sector, it is time that travel and tourism restarts and accelerates. The immediate priority, however, is to work for sustaining tourism, even in the midst of COVID, and within the overall framework of sustainability in tourism, and reclaim what the sector has lost during the pandemic. To recreate demand, we need to follow health protocols in all modes of traveling, provide health safe infrastructure at the tourism destinations, and allay the fear of travelers through effective communication and awareness. And to rebuild supply, the industry requires support and handholding by the governments through various fiscal and monetary measures. Friends, sustaining tourism amidst COVID requires new vision, customized models, and innovative strategies by all stakeholders of travel and tourism sector. The governments must revisit and reformulate their policies, plans, and schemes, factoring in the challenges of the new normal. The industry will have to innovate business models and strategies, suiting the changing consumer behavior and using latest technologies. The community will have to create a health, safe environment on their destinations, and the traveler, of course, must strictly follow the COVID appropriate behavior. Thanks to the efforts of all these stakeholders so far, and thanks to the speedy vaccination drive in India, that COVID is steadily on the decline in our country. And today, the domestic travel tourism sector is in a process of reopening faster than before, resulting in a positive upswing in travel and tourism within the country. There is now more awareness among the airline operators, hospitality, and the travel trade, and even tourists. And they are responding well to the COVID protocols and COVID appropriate behavior more strictly than ever before. In addition, the media campaigns and self-certification schemes launched by Tourism Ministry are catalyzing early recovery of tourism in India. Friends, the ripples of revival of tourism can now be observed in international traveling too. The good news is that for the first time in 19 months, the World Health Organization has admitted that the COVID spread currently is at its minimal level all over the globe. Friends, the restart of tourism all over the world will help kickstart recovery and growth. And it goes without saying that COVID pandemic has had a massive social and economic impact on the marginalized groups, which have been hit hardest of all. Faster unlocking of the tourism ecosystem will accelerate inclusive and sustainable growth for the vulnerable sections, which have been traditionally dependent on tourism for their livelihoods. It is with this objective, friends, that UNWTO has designated World Tourism Day 2021 as a day to focus on tourism for inclusive growth. According to UNWTO, the forthcoming year is an opportunity to look beyond tourism statistics and acknowledge that behind every number, there is a person. Working for inclusive growth means getting everybody behind a better vision for tourism. Only this way, tourism's restart can reach the people and communities that need it the most right now and build the foundations for a better future for all. Friends, the role of the tourism sector in development has recently moved from reducing poverty to a sector which is more inclusive. Incidentally, in tourism research, the main approach to diagnose the impact of tourism has been the relationship between tourism and macroeconomic variables, such as gross domestic product, exports, the number of international tourist arrivals. These indicators of tourism growth, ladies and gentlemen, do not actually represent all factors of inclusivity. Inclusive growth is a sustainable growth that will create and expand economic opportunities and ensure broad access to these opportunities so that members of society can participate in and benefit from growth. It is a growth coupled with equal opportunities. Tourism is inclusive because it is a way to support job growth and thereby support the well-being of the people. Tourism creates productive employment as well as economic opportunities for entrepreneurs while also ensuring equal access to those generated jobs and opportunities. Tourism also considered inclusive as it increases the ability of marginalized groups to take part in the economic process of the sector. So friends, if tourism has to be made inclusive, it must be sustainable. Ladies and gentlemen, in the beginning of my address, I mentioned that our immediate challenges are firstly the revival and resurgence of travel and tourism in India and all over the world, and subsequently sustaining tourism within the framework of sustainable tourism. So how do we sustain tourism and how do we sustain the tourism economy in the midst of COVID? Firstly, all of us have to ensure, ladies and gentlemen, the economy of India and the whole world reopens to the pre-COVID level. Lockdown, as we have seen, is the biggest threat of travel and tourism. Secondly, rebuilding travelers' confidence. It is necessary to allay the fear of traveling from the minds of the people to ensure resurgence of travel and tourism faster than before. Thirdly, we have to promote domestic tourism. Today, with inbound and outbound tourism yet to take off, domestic tourism remains the only strong pillar for the industry to depend upon its revival and sustenance. Fourthly, reopen international traveling at the earliest. Friends, India successfully sustained domestic air services and international air bubble services in the midst of COVID wave, second wave also. Now, with many countries having opened their borders and with large population of India having been fully vaccinated, it is time that India started international commercial air services on reciprocal basis. And fifthly, we have to accelerate digital transformation in travel and tourism ecosystem. And lastly, responsible tourism, ladies and gentlemen, today has become more relevant and more indispensable than ever before. Friends, tourism cannot happen in isolation. Tourism is a social activity and therefore demands responsibility towards each other in the society from all stakeholders. I also spoke a while ago that sustaining tourism has to be in the overall framework of sustainable tourism. So what is that framework that I'm talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, Ministry of Tourism has envisaged and has come out with principles of sustainable tourism, which is part of the national tourism policy that will be the future guide for tourism in India to attain sustainability and to attain inclusive growth. I wish to list these principles here for the benefit of the tourism fraternity. One, using resources sustainably. Second, reducing overconsumption and waste. Thirdly, supporting local economies. Fourthly, maintaining and promoting natural, social, and cultural diversity to create a resilient base for the industry. Next, integrating tourism into national and local strategic planning. Next, involving local communities. Then, consulting between the tourism industry and local communities, organizations, and institutions. Next, marketing tourism responsibly, ongoing research and monitoring by the industry. And lastly, skilling and training workforce to integrate sustainable tourism into work practices, along with recruitment at all levels to improve the quality of the tourism product. Friends, I'm conscious of the fact that on the World Tourism Day today, I'm addressing young students and professionals of a tourism educational institution. So I wish to use this opportunity to sensitize the students and the academia to the new challenges and opportunities which are knocking at their doors. Tourism workforce, friends, after all, is the backbone of the tourism sector. And it is they who have to become more resilient. It is they who have to become more knowledgeable. It is they who have to become more business prepared, not only in the light of COVID impact, but for all future natural or business disruptions in this sector. Friends, COVID has transformed the travel and tourism landscape. There is now a changed buying behavior of travelers. The traveler has become extremely conscious and sensitive to health safety. The traveler is banking a lot on digital technology and online platforms and has become more independent than ever before. Virtual and hybrid conferences and exhibitions is the new MICE. Wayside resorts and homestays are being preferred over the downtown hotels. An increase in entrepreneurship and startups in the sector is distinctly visible. The new normal is therefore bringing new policies by the government, innovative business models and strategies by the tourism industry, which are leading to creation of new vocations and new opportunities for travel and tourism sector. The academia and the students of tourism to avail of these emerging opportunities would therefore require new skill sets, reskilling, unlearning and new learning, retraining, innovative learning, greater depth of knowledge of digital and modern technology, including artificial intelligence, virtual and augmented reality, 3D printing, UV technology, robotics, and Internet of Things. Friends, taking cognizance of their role and responsibility in rebuilding the skill landscape of the new normal, Ministry of Tourism of India has emphasized in the new national policy that skill development will henceforth be driven by speed, scale, and standardization. The ministry has committed that national skill qualification framework will be adopted for various skill courses. Synergy with Ministry of Skill Development, National Skill Development Corporation, and the tourism sector skill councils will be forged to develop the curricula for capacity building of institutions and for certification of skills. Union government also plans to bring in many other initiatives to address the goals of skill development and to bridge the skill gap in the new normal. For example, destination-based skill programs, training of trainers, retraining of service providers in the unorganized sector, vocational skill related to experiential tourism, which is a new area, and facilitation of placement of skilled workers in partnership with public and private agencies, and by setting up a digital platform to facilitate matchmaking between the skilled worker seeking a job and the industry seeking a skilled worker. Ladies and gentlemen, in the new scenario, to meet the new challenges and to avail of the new opportunities, it is not only the government which has a role to play. The tourism industry, the industry chambers, the tourism associations, academia, and even the students have to come forward for faster resurgence of tourism in India and all over the world. I wish to flag some of the key action areas for these stakeholders. Firstly, there is an urgent need for improved collaboration, cooperation, and coordination among the Ministry of Tourism, the state tourism departments, the industry, the academia, and the students. Secondly, with change in buyers' demands, the academia has to develop such skill sets which are required by the industry, and therefore a greater industry-academia interface is required to match the demand and supply of tourism workforce in the new normal. Thirdly, COVID has brought a revolutionary digital transformation of education in India, in all areas of education. Tourism education institutions must therefore also create training infrastructure both for real as well as for virtual learning. Nextly, the demand for distance and online education in tourism sector is likely to increase manifold, ladies and gentlemen, and therefore institutions will have to factor this development in their policies and action plans. Lastly, tourism and technology will go hand in hand in the new normal. Therefore, digital literacy for all and application of modern technology would be essential to compete with the world. Ladies and gentlemen, on this auspicious day, and on an optimistic note, let me assure all the young students and professionals that tourism and travel are unstoppable, and the new normal will certainly be brighter than the old. The world is ever changing. When old practices become irrelevant and redundant, new opportunities emerge. Loss of one job due to pandemic will bring more than one job in the new normal. Friends, in the new global order of tourism world, all of us must work for a new sustainable tourism model, which has to be more robust and innovative, having inbuilt shock absorbers to disruptions, and having elements of self-reliance. Friends, on the World Tourism Day today, let us all make tourism in our country more resilient for faster resurgence of tourism in India, and to not only reclaim the lost ground, but to also catapult the tourism sector of India into a higher orbit. Let us all in the coming year follow the principle of 2030 agenda of the United Nations for Sustainable Development that we shall leave no one behind and ensure that the benefit of tourism proliferates widely and fairly. And let us all in the new normal build a more prosperous, more healthy, and more peaceful world through tourism. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for such a vibrant and informative speech. Your expertise and contribution to tourism sector is highly commendable. On this occasion of World Tourism Day, we are fortunate to have such an eminent and experienced person, Mr. Zushi. We, the institution, look forward to have more collaborative programs in the future course of time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next resource speaker, Professor Dr. Deepak Rajgupta. Sir, can you hear me, sir? Professor Dr. Deepak Rajgupta.
Yes, Manisha ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. Professor Dr. Deepak Rajgupta, Professor of School of Hospitality and Tourism Management, University of Jammu. Sir has vast research experience in tourism entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, and volunteer tourism. Sir has presented and published numerous research articles in reputed national and international journals. Now, I invite Dr. Deepak Rajgupta to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Manisha. Good afternoon, everybody, and a very happy World Tourism Day to each one of us across the globe. Dr. Anila Thomas, the principal, Jyoti Nivas College, Bangalore, all of the respected dignitaries. I was keenly listening to Justiji, retired Secretary, Tourism, Government of India, and one say, sir, I got a chance with Professor Sandeep Punchwait to visit your office. And we had a meeting as a member of board, and it was a nice interaction. And today, I say to you, you are a storehouse of knowledge, practical factor when it comes to tourism and, of course, related activities. My thought over the tourism scenario within the country, across the globe, post-COVID, I put it like this: COVID-19, the most affected industry across the globe is tourism. Totally shattered. Economies of most of the countries totally shattered. And coming to India, as we talk about tourism, tourism almost contributes 10%. And it's the biggest employment generator and biggest industry as far as the whole globe is concerned. And in India, almost at the bottom of the pyramid, 75% of the people who are working in the chain, they are from the unorganized sector. It's a situation like when we teach business cycle, it's a stage of depression. And when it is depression, everything almost tending to zero. But as far as tourism is concerned, because it was all zero. And in fact, as even on the number line gone for negative, many of the people, they have to close their business. Now, post-COVID, when things are improving, that's up to the effort of the government and the people. And it seems now things are on the better side. I have a very strong feeling that tourism is going to bounce back and bounce back very strongly. Few examples we have recently for Himachal, for Uttarakhand, and I come from Jammu and Kashmir. We have a pilgrimage, Mata Vaishno Devi. The moment things were little eased out, there was a tremendous rush of the visitors, the travelers. So that gives us a confidence that it's a temporary phenomena. With the increased vaccination and people becoming aware and a confidence building is there, the tourism is going to bounce back. Now, where to spend our time immediately? Is it domestic or international? So I strongly feel it is domestic. Indian domestic tourism is larger than the world tourism in terms of numbers. So we have a huge market for tourism when it comes to Indian domestic tourism. We have to take the best foot forward at present. I believe it is the rural tourism where the visitor would like to go. He would not like to go get immediately into the places. So when it comes to rural tourism, it has a huge potential and people would like to go there. We have a rich heritage in terms of cuisines, their culture, their handicrafts, handlooms, folklores, and that is what has to be revived. Now, who is going to play the role? Who is going to come forward? And under depression conditions, we know it is the government. Government has to come forward to create that confidence among all the stakeholders. And of course, then followed by the corporates who would sustain it. This has been happening in Malaysia, is one country where the tourism people, because of the lockdown, what they started doing their research on their own that what these things improve, what type of customer, what type of traveler we are going to get, what value addition we can make, what we have to offer to them. So they spend their time there, and now they have different total packages which will attract the traveler with new dimensions and new attributes, and of course, the prominent being the sanitation, hygiene, and safety. Because wherever today we will travel, safety, sanitation, and hygiene is the new norm. Today I am in Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh, and the hotel where I entered, they give the resorts. The first feeling that I had in my mind was safety. So I was looking for that people are wearing masks. Is there a sanitizer? Social distance is being maintained. And my experience is we are not still disciplined as an individual is concerned. Of course, the paper is pasted, wear mask. When it comes to actually implementing it, we find out of 10, 5 are not, 6 are not wearing masks. So that is a big question mark also, that our behavior has to be responsible. We have to follow the SOP. So rural tourism is my feeling that rural tourism is one which is going to attract the traveler. And of course, the release is there and it has been there. It is only the time that how much is there, how good. Now comes to my mind that where we can play a role as academicians, what role playing we can do. We can always, we have a team of students, 30 students, 60 students, 50 students, and there are so running tourism courses and they are supposed to be trained people. We can always choose a village, we can go to them and we can pick up these stakeholders, and we can sensitize them as far as the new normals are concerned. And we can tell them that what are the benefits, the personal benefits as far as health is concerned, and the professional benefits, the business benefits that they are going to get out of this. Secondly, this is going to create a situation because the first-hand practical experience where they are interacting with the stakeholders. So my point is, at present it is under depression. Government play a big role, and of course followed by the big corporate houses. Once the things become little normal and people are confident, there is going to be a huge rush of growth. And I may say that it will be beyond our control. So we have to think in those terms. Are we ready for that? So this is the time we have to prepare ourselves. And वो जितना नुकसान हमारा 18-19 महीने में हुआ है, ये सब not only in monetary terms, otherwise will be taken care of. That is the scenario that is going to be there, but we have to be ready for that. But no compromise on when it comes to sanitation, hygiene, safety. This model has to be done. Otherwise, again, like Kerala is already in the third wave. God forbid it doesn't happen anywhere else. And neither this huge country can afford it now. So let's, my dear friends, introspect this, make investment in terms of research, and things once get normal, we are able to pick it up and run the thing on professional line for the benefit of all the stakeholders and for the society at large. For my student friends, what you can do, you can always do a loud thing that post-COVID, there will be many opportunities as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. And Justy sir has already said, technology is going to play a very, very important role. A new normal without technology is not going to work in tourism. Hello.
Yes, sir. So you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear. It got
Yes, sir.
disconnected. I'm back.
Okay, sir.
So I was talking about for the students, you can think in terms of your well, you can think in terms of entrepreneurship, you can do loud thinking. One idea that we have shared, go to the villages, identify their tourism products, to the tourism resources, convert them into tourism products. And today, virtual tourism is also going to play a very, very important role where you can take the lead. You get the lead. And lastly, for you, your soft skills are going to be very, very important, irrespective whether you choose tourism as a career or any other space you create for you as a career. You must read the book by Mr. M.S. Oberoi, Mr. Singh Oberoi, the legend who created Oberoi brand across the globe. He started his career as a bellboy in Hotel Cecil in Shimla. And he had a dream. One day he would like to be the owner of that hotel. He became the owner of that hotel from bellboy. And today we have international brand, that is Oberoi chain of hotels. Mr. Indra Kumar, he started his career. I hope you know who was Mr. Indra Kumar. He started his career as a transfer boy for 50 rupees, just 50 rupees. But then 50 rupees was not the concern. It was the learning that he wanted as a transfer boy. And he created and he owned companies like Sita. which was renamed Kyoni. Mr. Ranjit Kalra is another person, owner of Travel Inn. He still keeps his Lambretta scooter with him. And he says, ये Lambretta scooter मेरे को मेरे पुराने दिन याद कराता है. मैं जमीन पे रहता हूँ. इस स्कूटर से मैं सारे ट्रांसफर करता था, सारा अपना बिजनेस करता था. And today Lambretta is no more brand there, it is obsolete. But then he said, today I can buy as many cars I want. I can holiday across the globe. Wherever I decide, I can do that. But Lambretta is my beginning. That is how I started. So friends, when it comes to your soft skill, you live in a time where with a click, you get connected with the whole world. These people were not living in that time. Mr. Oberoi, Mr. Indra Kumar, Mr. Kalra, that time there was no internet. It was landline. And it was a party time when you got a landline at your home. Today you are lucky. You are living in a technological world where you get linked with the world within seconds. Make use of this opportunity. And I again assert, times are going to come when there will be huge demand for professionals in tourism. So one who trains and equips himself with all these inputs will be the winner. And I hope you all want to become the winners. With these words, I wish all the best to all the organizers, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, happy World Tourism Day to all. Thank you very much, Principal BAM, Dr. Anila Thomas, Ms. Manisha, Justi ji, Ajay Prakash ji, all my students, faculty members, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. We all want to be the winners. Thank you, sir. Your speech was a great source of knowledge. Thank you for enlightening us. We need experienced academicians like you, sir, to mentor our tourism fraternity, to overcome the challenges like pandemic. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us today. Now, we also have Mr. Ajay Prakash as our one of the resource speaker, as a president of Travel Agents Federation of India and ex-deputy chairperson of World Travel Agents Association Alliance. Mr. Ajay possesses vast experience and proficiency in the field of global tourism industry, worked with Air India in commercial department, founder, president of International Institute of Peace through Tourism India. Mr. Prakash is a founder of Nomad Travels Mumbai, presently designated as Chief Executive of Nomad Travels. Mr. Ajay has represented Indian tourism at multiple global platforms, including European Tourism Forum at Botrix, and often featured on national television as an expert on aviation, travel, and tourism. Now, I invite Mr. Ajay to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manisha. Good afternoon, Sister Lalita, Dr. Anila, all the students and faculty at Jyoti Nivas College, and of course, my dear friends, Mr. Vinod Zutshi and Professor Deepak Rajgupta. It's good to see everybody here. The last time I had an interaction with a large number of students was with the students at the University of Jammu, when Professor Deepak Raj was there, and we had gone to establish a center of IIPT Center of Excellence in Jammu. Tourism students are among the most exciting students to speak with, because they are going to form the future of this industry. So, namaste to everybody on the occasion of World Tourism Day. Today is the 41st World Tourism Day, and It's a time when all of us need to introspect, to look back at the last 18 or 19 months, and more than that, to look ahead, because calamities are a part of life. They could be natural, they could be man made. We will never be free of calamities. But the question is, how do we increase our resilience to such instances? Resilience involves A, being prepared for unexpected eventualities. Resilience means the ability to bounce back. But before that can happen, what we need to do is to be aware of the uncertainty of life and to prepare early warning systems, which very often, when things are going good, we fail to do. Until 2018-19, tourism was booming. I mean, every year we had year-on-year growths in terms of inbound travelers, in terms of outbound travelers, in terms of foreign exchange earnings. And nobody anticipated that we would have a situation where the entire industry, well, the entire world would come to a halt. But we have survived. Yes, we have lost people, businesses have had to close down, but that's been a very small fraction. Of course, as Mr. Zuchi rightly said, behind every statistic, there is a human being. And that is the essence of tourism. Because tourism goes beyond merely the profit motive, beyond being a business, beyond earning money. Tourism is the one activity that connects all of us. It connects us across boundaries, it connects us across cultures, it connects us across all the seeming differences. And when you travel, you discover that we have more in common than the differences that we think seem to divide us. At the end of the day, we are all the same. We have the same hopes, we have the same aspirations, we have the same dreams, we have the same desires. What varies is the color of our skin or the color of our eyes, or our social circumstances or our economic circumstances. But at the end of the day, we are one race. And that is the power of tourism, to connect people, to dissolve boundaries, to build bridges, to create love and harmony instead of conflict. The entire world has changed. If we thought that 9/11 changed the world, well, 9/11 was nothing in comparison to what the COVID-19 virus has done. The entire tourism scenario has changed forever. Nothing is ever going to be the same. But if you remember, after 9/11, all the countries got together and came up with certain protocols which facilitated travel. Because the concern then was physical security. And so a set of universal protocols was devised, whether it was not carrying liquids, whether it was more X-ray screenings, taking off your shoes. The whole security scenario changed. But it was a universal, coordinated global response. And to overcome the setback of the COVID pandemic, we need a similar set of global responses which are accepted universally. We cannot have a situation where if I come to Bangalore, then even though I'm double vaccinated, I need to have another RT-PCR test done. You see, at least within the country, we need to evolve certain measures which make travel easier, which make it easy for tourism to revive, which build confidence in the travelers that travel is safe. In order to do this, because of the changed scenario, I look at the three issues that we will have to address. The first, of course, is resilience, which we've just talked about, which is also part of the which is the theme of today's talk. The other aspect that we need to look at is the responsibility of the tourism business. You see, for far too long, we have had instances where we have encouraged mass tourism. Now, while it brings in the revenue, it also degrades the environment if it is not handled well. You see, when we talk about inclusive growth, it's not inclusive if the beaches of Goa are awash with the Bisleri bottles that people have thrown into the sea. It is not inclusive if the lakes in Bangalore are foaming because they've been polluted. You know, it's not inclusive if we end up with creating more litter than we can handle. It's not inclusive if it leads to the exploitation of women and children. So these are all the aspects that we need to consider where tourism needs to behave as a responsible business. We need to look at carrying capacity of destinations. We need to look at preserving local customs and traditions instead of the Coca-Colaization of the world. There's no point going from here to Hampi if all you want to do is eat a hamburger and drink Coke. So a respect for the natural and the indigenous culture, the indigenous cuisine, the indigenous customs, all needs to be factored in when we are looking at how to revive tourism. The other huge responsibility we have is to the planet. There is no planet B. This earth is the only home that humankind has known. And the one thing that the pandemic has taught us is that you cannot continue to abuse nature. It will hit back at you. Therefore, it is in our own interest to make sure that we reduce the carbon footprint, that we consider the environmental cost of whatever activity we carry out. Climate change is a reality. The COP26, COP26 is going to meet next month. And the whole issue is, can we contain the rise in global temperatures to below 1.5 degrees Celsius? It's looking very difficult given the attitudes where everybody's looking, this very ugly term that has cropped up in the press called revenge tourism. This has the word revenge has no place in the lexicon of tourism. Tourism is about love, it's about harmony, it's about connections. It's not about revenge. So at least all of us who are part of the tourism ecosphere must vow not to use this word because it sends all the wrong signals. We can look at revived tourism, we can look at responsible tourism. We will not talk about revenge tourism because you've seen what revenge tourism has done. I have a home in a small town in Rajasthan called Mount Abu. The hills are littered with bottles and with plastic. Now that's every hill station, whether it was Uttarakhand. Dr. Manisha, are you trying to say something? You're on mute. Everywhere you look at, whether it is Uttarakhand, whether it is Himachal, whether it is the hill stations around Mumbai, people have flocked there in huge numbers, but have failed to observe the basic decent protocols that we as human beings need to practice, which means you leave the place cleaner than you found it. This is something that all of us need to address, need to drive home, not only to our colleagues, but also to our customers. The third issue is of relevance, of creating products and packages because the nature of travel has changed. The nature of the consumer has changed. The consumer is much more aware and is much more knowledgeable about destinations, about practices, about customs. So the need is to devise more meaningful, more unique, more special experiences. The days of people going out as a tourist and clicking pictures, covering 5 cities in 3 days and coming back and looking at the pictures, that's gone. The people who are traveling, especially the younger generation, is looking for a more meaningful experience. So you need to craft those unique experiences for our tourists. We need to create experiences, for want of a better word, which connect people more. It's a known fact that people who go to a destination to do an activity develop a stronger affinity with that destination. It could be skiing in the Alps, it could be skiing in Auli, it could even be gambling in Las Vegas. But whatever people go, if they go and do an activity, then there is a very high likelihood of them being repeat travelers. And therefore, we need to devise tourism that is built around meaningful activity. It could be architecture, it could be textiles, it could be anything, it could be wildlife. There is a huge demand right now for the wildlife sanctuaries. It's not easy getting a booking once the parks open. So these are all the possibilities that we need to look at and create newer ideas. That is where the young people, you who are students of tourism, have a huge role to play. I mean, many of us, I've spent 35, 40 years in the business. I am pretty much coming to the end of my working career. But you are the people who are going to take this forward, and you are the ones that have the responsibility to perhaps also undo some of the damage that we might have done. So you have to use technology in a much, much more intelligent way. And technology is rapidly changing, and you are more equipped to deal with it, to come to terms with it, to harness it than we ever were. I didn't grow up with a cell phone. All of you did. So at its simplest, you are much more adaptable, you're much more clued in, and therefore it is important that you bring passion into this business. You need to care because tourism is about people, and you need to care for people and you need to care for the environment if you are to be a successful tourism professional. There is another organization which I am also part of, apart of course from TAFE, which is we've got 1,400 members across the country, uh, comprising the entire ecosystem of tourism, travel agents, tour operators, visa facilitators, even some airlines and tourism boards. But there is this other organization which was founded in '86, so that's 35 years old. It's called the International Institute for Peaceful Tourism, and it addresses the higher paradigm of tourism. It's based on two very, very simple premises. One, that tourism, which is a very large global industry, it employs 1 in 10 people. It accounts for approximately 10% of global GDP. For the island nations like Seychelles, Mauritius, it's much higher. It goes to 24 and 25% of their GDP. That tourism could become the first global peace industry. And the second, which is even more relevant, is that every tourist is potentially an ambassador for peace. So this is a very, very crucial aspect of tourism, that we use tourism as a tool for promoting peace. Everybody knows that peace is necessary for tourism, but not everybody realizes that tourism can also be a tool for fostering peace, for fostering greater understanding between people, for fostering greater acceptance, tolerance, whichever way you want to look at it. You have to build this into your core business strategy. In order to be equitable, tourism business has to address the bigger issue of communities. My dear friend, Dr. Talib Rifai, who was the former Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, very famously used to say, you cannot build a five-star hotel or a five-star resort in a two-star community. So you have to take the benefits have to accrue to the host destination, because otherwise it is not sustainable. You have to look at the fact that in tourism, almost 60% of the workforce is women, but barely 15% of them are in leadership positions. So we need to work on these aspects. We need to use tourism to eliminate poverty, to bring about greater gender parity, to heal wounds of conflict, and to generate greater harmony among the world. the it might not seem directly linked to tourism, but it is linked because it is about sustainable tourism. The EU recently came up with a proposal that all chargers for your laptop, for your cell phones, should have a standard design. Now it's a small thing, but with huge repercussions, because each of us is carrying 3 chargers when we are traveling. If you had one charger, then you would not buy 2 extra chargers, which would end up in landfills, which would degrade the environment. So you have to think out of the box, because tourism is not only about tourism. Is about the world. It connects businesses, it connects people, and it has implications in everything that we do. So let's on this tourism day take a pledge. I want to end with something that I think is very relevant, um, and that each of us, especially at the college and university level, I would request you to take this up and to get your students to adopt it. It is called the IIPT Credo of the Peaceful Traveler. It's just a 10-line thing, but I think it's something that is very important for each one of us. I will read it out to you, and I hope it will resonate with each one of you. It says, grateful for the opportunity to travel and experience the world, and because peace begins with the individual, I affirm my personal responsibility and commitment to journey with an open mind and a gentle heart, to accept with grace and gratitude the diversity I encounter, to revere and protect the natural environment which sustains all life, to appreciate all cultures I discover, to respect and thank my hosts for their welcome, to offer my hand in friendship to everyone I meet, to support travel services that share these views and act upon them, and by my spirit, words, and actions, encourage others to travel the world in peace. So that's all I have to say. I wish you all a very happy World Tourism Day, and I hope we will continue this interaction, because speaking with students is the future. You are the future, and we look forward. There is a very old saying which says, you do not inherit the earth from your ancestors, you hold it in trust for your children. And that is the attitude that tourism needs to inculcate and propagate. Thank you very much.
Uh, there are certain questions, sir, from the audience. Would you like to take the questions now, sir?
Sure.
Uh, Mohanty, you have to unmute yourself.
Is it audible now, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so there is a question to Deepak, sir. Sir, you told us that Indian tourism has potential for development and improvement. So what are the new and unique measures post-COVID that will be very important to get the recovery of the industry? Marketing initiatives. Should I repeat the question, Professor?
He's muted.
Okay, so I can go to the next question.
Deepak ji, you have to unmute.
This question is to me.
Yes, sir, for you, sir.
My dear
Question
friend,
for question.
see, we live in a competitive world. We are talking about new normals. We have not to talk it. It has to be the part of the business. It has to be part of the service. Every stakeholder has to be sensitized about it. One who will deliver it will be the winner. One who will think नहीं चलता है, इतना हिंदुस्तान का population है. The tourist will adjust. No, tourist is not going to adjust. He has disposable income. He wants value for his money, and he will go for the best. The best will be one who will follow the new normals. That's it.
So the next question is for Binod sir. Sir, what's your view about government's role in the recovery of tourism, and what are the initiatives that has been taken for the recovery of tourism?
Well, I think I have um, covered a lot of ground on this particular question. But you see, the first thing, how did tourism suffer during COVID? Tourism suffered because of lockdowns. The moment the lockdowns were lifted, the travel started, tourism started. So the first requirement for any government is that to prevent the country and to prevent the region from such disasters to the extent possible. Now, we have to prevent that India does not suffer anymore. And even if suppose if any wave, God forbid, comes, we have to control it and bring it down to the minimal level so that the economy is not totally closed. So it is very clear when the economic activities happen, tourism and travel will also happen. You heard of business travel, you heard of MICE, you heard of conventions, conferences. Now, when people move, now unfortunately, it is the tourism and travel sector which has been hit the hardest because many things have happened digitally. Banks have operated, schools have gone online, but you can't go online on travel and tourism. So that is why we need to keep the system open. So one is the government has taken action. The government has been insisting on COVID appropriate behavior. Vaccination drive is going on. One of the largest vaccination drives in the world. And that is bringing results. I mean, if you see Delhi, I live in Delhi. Delhi has had almost more than 50% have been vaccinated and 75% have been vaccinated once. Now, with all these things, the economy is going on. And of course, second aspect is that the destinations have to be made health safe. The fear of traveling, has got so embedded in the people that even today, and let me tell you, it is not just the travelers alone, even the tourism service providers. I mean, Mr. Ajay Prakash would know they are not getting out of their homes. They have to set examples. But who would set the example once you have this fear that you may catch, the infection? So gradually this fear has to go. Now, government has to play a role to remove this fear. In fact, in one of the forums, I had also suggested UNWTO and IATA has created a destination tracker. It's a online portal which says which destination has got, what health issues are there, what is the extent of infection, which are the areas which are relatively better. Now, I suggested that for domestic tourism, as long as the international traveling doesn't start, because that is being already provided by the destination tracker made by UNWTO and IATA. So I suggested that if Ministry of Tourism also works with private sector, creates a portal and make it online so that everyone, the travelers, the industry, at the click of a button, they can see how is Jaipur, how is Jodhpur, how is Mount Abu, how is Hampi, whether I should travel there, which are the hotels which are following the safety measures, and so on and so forth. Now, this kind of destination tracker will help to allay the fear of the people. Certification, I mentioned about the government's initiative. Ministry of Tourism has started Sathi. Sathi is a project where they are indulging in allowing self-certification. That means if a hotel is self-certified that I am taking all precautions as per the guidelines of the Ministry of Tourism, it is self-certified. Now, anyone who wishes to, of course, everyone wants to be safe. So if you see that there is a certificate, just like 5-star and 4-star and 3-star. So once it is certified, you're all right, this is a safe hotel to live in, then people will go and, so this is how the positive stories that are happening. In fact, there have been movements of people. In fact, there have been occasions where in the weekends, all the hotels have been booked. But the result is once you have either a festival or people rushing into an area, whether in Himachal Pradesh, whether in Uttarakhand, the result is that you start having more COVID infection. These unfortunate things which keep happening. But the positive stories have to be also brought before the people. Unfortunately, the media, whatever.
Hmm?
It seems there is some technical disruption. Can I move to the next question, ma'am?
Vinodji, Vinodji, are you able to hear? I think, Mohandi, you can just continue to the next question. We will get back to sir once sir comes.
Okay. So the next question is to Ajay sir, and this is from my side, sir. Ajay sir, you very rightfully mentioned about revenge tourism, and as a researcher, I understand that how horrendous it is to use such a term, because it is revenge on whom rather than like revenge on whom rather than, I mean, it is kind of a suicide tourism, not revenge tourism. In that line, I have seen, because this is today's news only, that Kerala, not even one single houseboat has been there. You cannot find any single houseboat unbooked. So is there anything at all that we have learned from this pandemic, or is it going to be the same thing? Because one of the student have asked this question, that are we expecting another over tourism to happen as we bounce back? And if it is so, how are we going to control it? So
The responsibility is twofold. One is on the tourism operators. Zuchi Sahab is back incidentally, so after this we can go back to him.
sure.
Uh,
Sure, sir.
one is on the tourism operators, and that's where the whole business of responsibility comes in. Because if we have not learned from this epidemic, pandemic, whatever we want to call it, then I think there is no hope for us. I mean, we are more stupid than we think we are if we have not learned anything. So I don't think that is the case. People are aware. Now, for example, when we talk about over tourism, the city of Venice was sick of tourists. These cruise liners would come in the morning, leave in the evening, and you had people, with everybody's got baggage with wheels now. Now Venice has cobbled streets, so everybody's dragging their baggages and going cut, 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 and the local people were sick and tired of it. So after this pandemic, the city of Venice has decided that they will be issuing permits, controlling the numbers of people that are permitted to come in every day. If you look at Bhutan, Bhutan for foreigners has a very clear policy. You need to spend a minimum of $200 per person per day to be able to visit Bhutan. Now, yes, you can say this is a discriminatory practice, but at the end of the day, the responsibility to preserve the destination lies upon the owners, the people who live in that destination. So yes, it's the destination that will have to take a stand. It is the tour operators who will have to be more responsible. And three, it is the government which will also have to perhaps put in place some regulation. Because I think we all realize you cannot overrun a place. You destroy the environment, which is the reason for your going there. So you have to preserve it for future generations. It's not going to, rejuvenate itself on its own if we keep. So yes, I hope we have learned something from this pandemic, and that the business itself will be a little more responsible. While while the motive is of course profit of all business, the responsibility factor has to be built into your core business practices.
We will take the last question, and that is
One
to
second, Mohanty, sir has come back. Vinodji has come back. Sir wants
yes,
to
sir.
add any point.
Okay. Yes.
Well, yes, thank you. In fact, there was some problem came. So I don't want to carry it on further, but except that the government, see, there are two major issues as a result of the COVID pandemic on tourism. One is that the demand side has gone down. Rather, it has come to standstill, zero. Nobody was traveling. On the same side, at the same time, the supply, the service providers were totally shattered financially, business wise. So the thing is, today, when you are thinking of revival, you don't just think of reviving the demand. You don't have to just put the infrastructure, health safe infrastructure back again, because has gone bad. Qutub Minar remains the same, Red Fort remains the same, Taj Mahal is just the same. But the problem is those who manage the visits of the travelers, whether tour operators or agents, they are financially shattered. So they also have to be revived at the same time, and that is where the government's intervention to give them stimulus package in whichever manner. There have been some steps. MSMEs have been given. Liquidity fund has been created by RBI. Maybe the tourism industry, the tourism service providers need much more than what has been already given to them. And I'm sure gradually it will come to them. So one is that you need to, make the service providers also stand up so that, the traveling starts. And on the other hand, you have to take care of the fear of the traveling. So both have to go simultaneously, and government has a role to play in both. But not just the government, all stakeholders have to play. In fact, the hotels, as I was mentioning, they have to project themselves, and they have started. In fact, I see many airlines, I mean, the main focus is we are safe. In fact, today, let me tell you, if you have a five-star hotel in front and a two-star hotel, which is seems to be more safe, even if the tariff is the same, people will prefer to go to a two-star rather than five-star, which is more safe. So basically, the health safety is the driving force, and that is what all the stakeholders, especially in the industry, have to cater to. And this has to go on. It will not stop, because the fear doesn't go so easily. And God forbid if another wave comes. And it's not just that we protect India alone. You see, today we are not moving. International travel is zero. I mean, where do these 1.5 billion people travel? They have not traveled the last 19 months. So in order to travel all over the globe, you need all the countries to be safe. If one country is not, suppose take for instance, we get majority of share today from Bangladesh, from UK, from US, from Germany, from France. Now, around 10 to 15 source countries, they provide 75% of the total inbound tourists into India. Now, we have to be very careful and we have to be very watchful Rather, we should hope and pray that these countries also remain well. Because if they remain well, then only they will be able to come out and inbound. So even if India is okay, we want that all our source countries should also be okay. So this is a very complex thing, but gradually, I think we are getting clearer about the overall situation, and all will depend upon how we are able to cope up. One thing is sure, we have to learn living with disruptions, whether it is COVID today, whether it is something else, but we will have, and we are coping up well. That's it.
So we will finish up with the last $1 million question that has been there. How long is it going to take to come back to the original status that we were? Uh, I request every panel member to put their views on this. Like because we have not seen any microeconomic variable yet to come up, any study yet to come up. So this is the $1 million question, that when are our students going to get campus recruitments? So in that.
Yes, if I may. Uh, as Zuchisa very rightly pointed out, that if we don't have a third wave, well, we're actually well on our way to recovery, because almost 30% of India's population has been fully vaccinated, and that's a very healthy statistic. So I think that by the end of October, we're going to see some normalization in terms of international flights. And once that happens, and there are a number of countries that are doing almost as well as we are in terms of coping with the pandemic. So it's one of the bottlenecks has been the lack of scheduled international flights or reduced capacity. The government of India has announced 500,000, 5 lakh visas to be given free. But that will only become meaningful once flights are back to some semblance of normalcy. So if this, we were all worried about the Ganpati festival in Maharashtra. Touch wood, it's gone off all right. Of course, we are now in the whole festival season. There's Navratri, Dashera, Diwali, and then New Year, Christmas. But I think by the end of October, we should see some relaxation, some more movement, some more international flights. And if that stays all right till the end of the year, I mean, next summer, we can start looking at outbound tourism. And by next winter, inbound tourism should be back much, much more significantly. So, yes, I mean, we are optimistic. Cautiously optimistic is the word to use. And with, of course, a plea to everybody to still maintain those basic protocols, those standard operating procedures, that social distancing, all of that. Because without that, we're asking for trouble. But if we do that, I think 2022 should be a whole lot better than the last 2 years have been.
Thank you, sir. Jutsi, sir, you can.
Yes. Well, I have always been a very optimistic person, but let us be very realistic as well. Now, I will not give any straight away, observation or any timeline right now, right away. But I'd like to analyze, for the benefit of everyone, and they should also feel whether it is prudent to think this way. First is WHO has, for the first time, I have mentioned already in my address, that now it is at the minimal level. You have been seeing and hearing WHO scaring the entire world all these months. This is the first relieving news that has come from them. Now, it may be dynamic, it may change, but it is there. Number two, if you talk of India, again, the WHO representative in India has mentioned that India has moved from pandemic to endemic. Now, there's another news which says that COVID gradually will lose its sting and will become just like any other viral infection which is seasonal. Now, I'm not advocating that people should not be careful, but my point is that we are all hearing all good things. The decline in the COVID cases can be seen. Even otherwise, there were only 1 or 2 or 3 states which constituted 70 to 80% of the COVID cases for the last 3-4 months. Now, the vaccination drive is picking up very well, I have already mentioned. Now, with all these happenings, the overall, it corroborates the expectation that things are going to be better than ever before. Now, having said this, people have started moving. I live in Delhi and I have this ring road right in front of me. And the movement on the ring road, gives me an assessment as to how much people are traveling. So today I can see that Delhi is almost 80 to 90% of what it used to be at the optimal. Take, for instance, air travel. In one of the forum, I had the then Secretary Civil Aviation, Mr. Khorola, who's retired just now, and we had some representatives of the leading airlines. They are thinking of expanding. They have ordered new aircrafts. The air traffic has gone up to 80% domestic. And gradually, as the demand picks up, it will touch the same pre-COVID level. And in fact, let me also tell you, this 75% level was attained even in the midst of COVID and just immediately after second COVID wave. So what I'm trying to say is air travel. Road journeys are considered to be more safer. And people are traveling by road. The resorts, homestays, they have become more popular. My point is basically that people, and there have been cases. I mean, on one hand, I said that there's a fear of traveling. On the other hand, there are people who are festivals in India, cricket in India, and elections in India. Nobody can stop people from, getting that frenzy and forgetting everything else. The result is there have been cases. Take, for instance, Mussoorie. The district magistrate had to put an embargo. No, you will not be allowed on the weekdays, or on the weekdays you will be allowed only on these days. That means in the coming new normal, there will be greater regulations from the government and the government authorities in order to sustain tourism, in order to compare with the carrying capacity, in order to see that things don't. It's happening in festivals also. The celebration of festivals in India, I mean, last thing that India or any government would like to put an embargo on in India is religion-based festivals. But it has happened. Now, this is how the thinking is changing, the perception is changing. And the good thing about India and the Indian people is that they have been most obedient among all the countries in the world. Have you ever heard of any nation where the Honorable Prime Minister calls for a lockout for the entire country and there is not a single violation anywhere in the country? Now, this is the kind of obedience, this is the kind of responsibility among Indians, which augurs very well for faster resurgence of tourism in our country. So, friends, coming to the last point, I have a feeling that this winter, and as I've already mentioned, there have been speculations. The government at government level, one has seen the news reports. US has already opened the borders. India is keen to go to US. The vaccination issues have been cleared with UK. Now, these two source countries are ready to invite the Indians. So very soon the international traveling is likely to begin. Once international traveling starts, then of course, gradually I think this winter, more and more countries will get involved. And by the middle of 2022, friends, I feel that India would, provided things remain as they are at the moment, Indians will start traveling, and then it will not be just the pre-COVID level. It is going to surpass the pre-COVID level, ladies and gentlemen, because domestic tourism has a huge demand in India. Can you imagine in 2019, the domestic travel visits, domestic tourist visits, as we used to calculate, they were as many as 2 billion domestic tourist visits within India. If you compare it with the international traveling, which is 1.5 billion travelers, international travelers, I mean, Indians are traveling more than the entire international traveling. So India is huge. People have the urge. So with this allaying of fear, with the health infrastructure in place, and with government taking these initiatives, I'm sure by 2022 middle, things will be back to normal. And with international traveling starting, maybe with not with all countries, depending upon what is the status of the COVID in their respective nations, maybe by the end of 2022, we will have international traveling soaring high, even beyond the pre-COVID level. That's all, Mr. Monti.
Okay, so pretty positive outcomes. So, Deepak Rath sir, can you please put forward the academic side of it? Any estimates that you have been working on?
Thank you very much. I endorse the viewpoints of both the revered speakers. Something to add is discipline at individual level. That is very important. I just give you an example for my youngsters. My university last winter, we started out with the physical mode classes, the outgoing batch, alternate days. In the class, we could implement social distance, wearing the mask, other SOPs. But outside the class, the same educated youngster, they are shaking hands, hugging each other, no social distance, no mask. And within a month, we started seeing few students are absent. And why they are absent? Their current COVID ho gaya. COVID ho gaya. That is what happened. So that is very, very important. Government again and again requesting each and every citizen of the country, please do this, because this is within our hands. So that dissemination is very important. Vaccination is picking up. Initially, it was taken non-seriously. उसका भी मजाक उड़ रहा था. Now people have become very serious. I find in my locality there are queues. Moment it is around, there are large queues. People want to get vaccinated. So that is a big confidence. Big confidence. And of course, as Justice sir said, government is becoming very strict when it comes to implementing COVID behavior as far as this is concerned with the individual people. With these three things, I see something very positive happening, and very soon we will be normal. Will be booming. We'll enjoy the festival season. God bless all. Thank you very much.
Okay, so with this we can wrap up. This is a message to all our students. So you have to go and spread this message that you have learned today, that we are here to stay. Tourism is here to stay, and so please take admissions again. We need to get back to the same form that we were. Thank you. Manisha ma'am, up to you now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ajay sir. Thank you, Vinod sir. It was what I would like to mention is it was very overwhelming to hear so much of information. As I just mentioned in the beginning, that it is a power of knowledge that we are going to showcase today. So I would like to mention that as the travel industry is highly hit sector, we need a lot of guidance and support and assistance of experts like you all. Which will make the revival process a bit easier. Revival from COVID pandemic. We are really inspired to hear the strategic measures, which I'm sure everyone agree with me, will strengthen the restoration process of tourism industry. On this note, I would like to end up, and I just want to invite Mr. Priya Krishna Mohanty, Assistant Professor, Department of Tourism and Travel Management, Jyoti Niwas College Autonomous, to give concluding remark on this conference and propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Manisha ma'am. So the great philosopher Lao Tzu once said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And there cannot be any better day to fathom this quote. Tourism, as we all know, has been facing the wrath of COVID-19 pandemic since the advent of 2020. We have been through the struggles that no other generation had experienced. And yet, our industry stood strong and is making a phenomenal recovery, as pointed out by our panel members. While we make this recovery, we also need to ensure that every lesson from this pandemic is imbibed to make our sector more sustainable and resilient. With that note, Department of Tourism and Travel Management, Jyoti Nivas College, organized this intellectual gathering in the form of a virtual conference on tourism for inclusive growth, resilience, resurgence, and reclaim. Distinguished speakers of the day, Most Reverend Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, Principal Jyoti Nivas College Autonomous Bangalore, enthusiastic participants across the country, and ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege and pleasure to propose the vote of thanks and acknowledge the valuable contributions of many learned men on the occasion of this National Virtual Tourism Conference. I want to start off with a big thank you to Mr. Binod Jutsi, former Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, for sparing valuable time from his busy work schedule to grace the occasion. I would like to express my warm appreciation to Sir for giving an excellent coverage to the anticipated changes that are going to take place. Today, we are fortunate to hear from you, sir, and your thoughts, as this will sure encourage this future generations and future proceedings also. Further, we are grateful to Professor Deepak Raj Gupta, Senior Professor, School of Hospitality and Tourism Management, University of Jammu, for your thought-provoking and interesting views. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion. I also wish to express my gratitude to Mr. Ajay Prakash, President, Travel Agents Federation of India, TAFE, for being here with us in spite of having other commitments, and your knowledge base is forecasted here, sir. We are taking into consideration, and we look forward to seeing you in our other discussion also. With a deep sense of appreciation, I thank our dear principal, Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, for the constant support, guidance, and encouragement throughout the whole process in the making of this event a successful one. I extend my sincere gratitude to Sister Rosalie, Administrator, and all sisters of JNC community, including the Vice Principals of Arts, Science, Commerce, and Management, faculty members of various departments of the college, non-teaching, and support staff for their timely support and encouragement. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record my sincere thanks to Mr. Praveen, Mr. Mikhail, Mr. Basil, Mr. Richard, and the entire technical team for their continuous support and guidance that has extended us to grace this occasion in a big way. Well, an event like this cannot happen overnight. It requires the meticulous planning, and we are fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated staff, including the students who have participated in this conference in the way it is possible. It is indeed a pleasure to thank everyone for their involvement and their willingness to take on this completion of this task beyond our comfort zones. Once again, I thank everyone. Thank you.
Before we end up this session, I just would like to mention that link